Welcome to this episode of ACG's Growth TV. I'm Katie Mulligan, and I'm joined today by Igor Rozenblit, Managing Partner with Iron Road Partners, who joins me to talk about the private equity regulatory climate. Igor, how would you characterize the current regulatory environment for private equity today?
This is the most aggressive I've seen the regulatory environment be. Private equity became regulated with Dodd-Frank in 2010. While it was aggressive back then, now with the growth of private equity, the sophistication of the investors and the sophistication of the regulators, things have gotten a lot more risky for private equity firms.
And what are some of the issues that private equity firms should be keeping an eye on with respect to regulation coming down the pike?
There are a number of proposed rules in front of the Commission now that would really change the face of private equity regulation and how compliance works inside of private equity. There is one reporting rule that would require private equity firms to essentially report distress at their firms, creating examination and possibly enforcement risk. There's a rule around cybersecurity, and then there's a very broad rule around how private equity firms interact with their clients and their investors, how they report, and what kind of activities they're allowed to engage in. It's really a sea change from the way things have been done historically.
And you mentioned a couple different reporting requirements. With that demand on data sharing, both from regulators as well as LPs increasingly, how can private equity firms ensure they're being compliant in terms of the data they're sharing while also remaining secure from a cyber standpoint?
It's really important to invest in cybersecurity, especially now. There are heightened risks out there, and the Commission has gotten more aggressive with pursuing different cybersecurity breaches. For instance, in the past, it was probably unlikely that a cybersecurity breach at a portfolio company would become a regulatory issue for the manager, whereas now that's completely different. And there are some well-known enforcement investigations that occurred because there were cybersecurity breaches at portfolio companies. One of the other things the new rules will do is it'll reduce the level of the negligence standard that private equity firms are held to. So now they're held to a gross negligence standard. That'll be reduced if these rules pass to a simple negligence standard, meaning that due diligence on portfolio companies becomes now a risk for the manager. So insufficient due diligence at portfolio companies, especially around cyber, can really affect the manager and can be existential for a brand.
Okay, sounds like a lot to keep an eye on.
It really is.
Thanks for joining me on Growth TV.
Thank you.
For Growth TV, I'm Katie Mulligan. Thanks for watching.